I was retail and energy and all of these things together. I could do it because I was in Microsoft. Had I been in a fintech startup, I would have been a fintech expert, a domain expert, right? So choose what you want, and therefore you choose whether you want to get into a startup or one of these big companies. Because I feel companies like Microsoft, Google are literally 20,000 startups built into one.
So, hi Sandeep, welcome to this video podcast. Thank you for joining. We can begin with your introduction.
My pleasure, Devi. So hi, this is Sandeep here. I have I've been a product manager for a while now, and I work for Microsoft, and I am currently operating in the space of B2C products. I have a large part of my career have been part of B2B products, building products for developers, data scientists, data engineers, data modelers, retailers, media and entertainment companies, gaming companies, and even oil and gas companies. So yeah, the breadth is there around both the personas of users along with industries. So yeah, that's why.
That's a lot of experience we are talking about here. So, Sandeep, take us through what is the PM role according to you? Can you tell us something about this space and the future aspects of this space, how you see it?
So let me first say what the PM role is not, because you will see a lot of this on the internet. Few people say a PM is a CEO or a mini CEO. Few people say that PM is like a catch-all job, etc., etc. I don't think so. Any of that is true. Why the PM is not a mini CEO? Because CEO has to deal with things apart from product, right? For example, a CEO would be investing in systems. A CEO would be invested in raising funding or setting up engineering systems or HR systems. PMs don't do that. PMs are responsible for building products. Neither are PMs, or neither should PMs consider themselves as catch-all, which basically means, oh, since nobody else is doing it, therefore I will do it. It's not that. So I just want to caution, because that's what you see. So question is, what is a PM, right? See, a product manager at the end of the day is responsible for creating value for his or her customers by shipping meaningful and quality products. That's the goal. Now, the moment I say it, and I'm saying generating value by shipping meaningful and quality products, a lot of things get involved, right? You would be invested in first ideating what that product may be. So typically, how we think, right? Hey, I have an idea, and maybe this will generate value for my customers. That's the role of the product manager, where you may have an idea, or you may be working on an existing product, working with customers very closely, trying to understand what are those areas of investments by virtue of which I can generate value for my customers. And since I am in Microsoft, so talking about mostly technical products, you are responsible for identifying what is that product, capability, feature that you want to invest in, uh, and taking it all the way from an idea to execution, working with your team to actually build it, and delivering it to the customer, and making sure that you get feedback back from the customer to understand whether your initial hypothesis, whether this product is worth the value, is something that customers associate themselves with. So yeah, the PM, at least in Microsoft parlance, is somebody who's responsible for building the end-to-end product, neither a CEO nor a catch-all.
All right, that gives us some better understanding about the role. So, Sandeep, take us through your journey to become a principal product manager and how your degree helps in day-to-day activities, etc. Please take us through.
Sure. So I think so. This would be of particular interest to students of MBA, right?
Yes.
So I graduated from IIM Ahmedabad, just like you are, Devi, you are preparing as well. So when I was in IIM, so I was a consultant before that. I was a software engineer to begin my career, transitioned into consulting, and my moment of hey, I want to become a product manager happened because of a product manager in Microsoft. I remember the product was System Center Configuration Manager, and I used to share a lot of feedback with Microsoft, saying, "Hey, you should build this feature, or this is a bug. Maybe you should fix it, etc., etc." And I remember in the Microsoft user voice, I'm I think so the name of the product manager was Robert. And Robert replied to me saying that, hey Sandeep, thank you for this feedback. You should be happy to know that we've incorporated this as a feature in Microsoft System Center Configuration Manager. That was like a eureka moment for me. I was just so happy that day that, oh my God, somebody in Microsoft is listening to me and incorporating some of my features into their product. And that just kicked so hard to me, right? Because I was like, oh my God, as a consultant, I'm basically using somebody else's product and ensuring that it is customized or helping some of the customers. And on the contrary, a product manager or basically companies like Microsoft are able to build something from scratch. Um, I talked to Robert. Robert told me that there are three ways to come into Microsoft. You can either do your MBA, or you can uh, maybe get some experience under your wing for product management, or you could be a software engineer in Microsoft and basically do the transition. I said, I'm not a engineer in Microsoft, neither am I having existing experience of product management. So MBA was the only route. When I was in MBA, and here is a guide to MBA students, right? I was solely focused on getting into product. That was my kick. And I was very fascinated by Microsoft at that time. So I actually invited a lot of speakers, a lot of leaders from Microsoft to IIM Ahmedabad. And the reason I did so is because in IIM Ahmedabad, we have something called speaker series. And the advantage of having a speaker series is if you bring a speaker, you get 20 minutes to talk to them before they actually enter the stage. And in those 20 minutes, I used to talk to all the leaders in Microsoft and understand from them, what does Microsoft do? What's their stance? What is the life in Microsoft? What's the culture in Microsoft? How should I prepare, etc., etc. And all of that really helped me. Like I invited, I think, so four speakers, and all four speakers gave me great insights. And of course, I invited four speakers who came to campus. I ended up talking to 10 because a lot of them could not come. That is a great learning. And they told me that, Sandeep, you should pick up courses that are dealing with marketing, take courses that are dealing with entrepreneurship, take up courses that are dealing with aspects of product building. May not be delving too deep into finances or, let's say, balance sheet alignment, etc., but take courses that help you understand human behavior more. And that's exactly what I did. And even on my the date of the interview, this is my humble request to anybody who's attempting interviews in any product management, for that matter, any companies, right? Try to gauge the company also. Try to understand the culture of the company. Try to understand what products they're investing in. As much as the company wants you, you should be aligned to the company as well. A very simple way of doing it is read the first 7 to 8 pages of the annual statement of a company. That will give you a very good perspective on the culture of the company, the kind of products they're investing in, and that should help you understand whether you want to get into that company or not. And then prepare well, sit for your interview, and then join Microsoft just the way I did.
The traits which a product manager should have. So, which trait determines success more, or something like that?
When I say some traits that can help product managers, let me talk about some traits that won't help product managers. Because I have seen folks thinking about product management in a particular fashion, and I want to break some myths here, right? A lot of people think that some of the folks have actually confided in me and said this in as many words. That, hey, if I were to be a technologist, I would go to IIT, right? I don't want to be a technologist, therefore I am in IIMs or B schools. That while that statement may be true, that statement does not hold true for product management. You need to be curious about technology. I'll give you a small example, right? Generative AI is getting built in leaps and bounds, and it is transforming the lives of people. If I don't understand generative AI as a technology, I will be doing a disservice to my customers to not be able to build a product or a feature or a capability that can add value to them, right? A lot of people think that if like I don't know technology, therefore I need to be a product manager. It does not work that way. You need to be curious about technology. You need to be able to apply technology to help your customers, etc. So that is one. So that is, you cannot be not curious about technology. So that is a big misconception. Second thing, which I actually learned after coming to Microsoft, um, is a lot of us feel that, hey, we know things, right? And I bring that experience with me, I bring that value with me, and therefore I my learning kind of stops here. And I will just go build products. It does not work like that. For me, Microsoft has been a university for the last 8 years. I feel that I'm getting paid for learning here, because every single day you need to understand how products are built. Every customer, every product, every element of building product could be totally different. And we can slice and dice it various ways, right? B2B, B2C. Are you using metrics? Not. Are you using stated wants of the customer? Are you looking at data, unstated needs? Are you dealing with different industries? I talked about the way retail behaves is totally different from the way energy behaves, is totally different from the way gaming behaves. You need to be on your toes to be willing to unlearn things that you have learned before and willing to learn new things all the time. I actually go and tell this to my managers in Microsoft, and I feel proud about it. And I told them the day my learning stops, I'll leave Microsoft. And I said this on day one, and I'm saying this on year 8 in Microsoft, that product management as a profession is such where you need to be living every single day of your B school in this company. It does not get any complacent. And then, of course, there are other things around being a good storyteller, communications, managing stakeholders, etc. But yeah, these two things I would say are big misconceptions. Therefore, I wanted to call these out.
Interesting perspective, Sandeep. So, talking a little about data, Sandeep, can you share how customer data can be of value or the qualitative aspect of it?
Absolutely. Rather, I just did a class on it last Sunday. So, see, I'll break it down like this. And then what I've been saying all this while is you are adding value to the life of your customer, right? Now, let's understand customer for a moment. Let's say you're using Amazon to buy products. You would have seen that Amazon asks you for ratings and reviews and qualitative feedback that, hey, this is working, that is not working. Maybe the shipment was not working, etc. So Amazon really knows that the product is with the vendor or the Amazon shipping part or the person who delivered the product at your doorstep, right? That is called stated wants. That's qualitative feedback. You are able to tell Amazon in as many words what went wrong, right? This is great because Amazon can take clear step towards whatever you have asked. All right. Now that is brilliant. Like I'll give you another example. Let's say you're on Twitter and somebody comes and this was actual feedback to the then Twitter and now X. That can you please increase the text size from 140 characters to whatever, right? It's a stated want. I want to type more. It's a stated want clearly said. There are unstated needs as well, where customers don't tell you. I'll give you another example of Twitter. On Twitter, a lot of people would chat and say, hey, can you give me your email address? I would like to talk to you in person. Nobody went to Jack Dorsey at that time and say that, hey, I want privacy in my conversations. Nobody said that. Why? Because email was a perfect backend solution. How would Jack Dorsey know that this is a problem? And that is through data or by either by data or by being a fly on the wall, by observing the way customers or their users are working, right? So you address unstated needs of the customer by looking at data. You will be able to join dots that customers otherwise would never tell you. That is the value of data. A point in time, what feature got shipped in Twitter at that time was actually private messaging or DMs, what we know as DMs now. Had Jack Dorsey not been a fly on the wall and observing the customers the way they are operating, he would have never shipped this feature, right? Because people were happy tweeting. That's the value of data, which every single product manager should equip themselves with, because stated wants, which are qualitative, will only help you build table stakes or table stake features because customers are expecting that. But when you start delving into this space of unstated needs, you start building differentiators or delighters for the customers because you just gave something to a customer that the customer never expected. It's like giving a cookie along with the coffee while the customer just ordered coffee. Like imagine the happiness that you get by a 2 rupee cookie, right? Because you never ordered that. So that's what happens with data.
Sandeep, coming to convincing the stakeholders for a change. Let's say yesterday I saw you shared something about stakeholder matrix, which Satya Nadella shares in his book. Let's say you are aiming for a change and stakeholders are involved. So how does a change take place? Is it strictly data which guides every decision and data which aligns with North Star, or beyond data, how do you convince? If you can throw some.
Okay. So since you talked about Satya's matrix was slightly different. Satya's matrix, and it's relevant for this conversation. So Satya in his book Hit Refresh says that any product manager operates in these four quadrants. Those four quadrants are customer, product, partner, or team. All right. Now, since you're talking about stakeholders, in these four, except for product, all three are stakeholders, right? Customer, partner, and team. Now, depending upon who, and when I say team, team could be your leadership, team could be your engineering team, your people who are reporting to you, people whom you are reporting to, or even partner team, right? Sales, marketing, legal, etc., etc. So I'll not talk for the entire breadth of stakeholder management, but I'll talk about where people generally make mistakes with stakeholder management. People generally make mistakes where, depending on the situation, let's say you have a great idea, all right, and you are bubbling with energy because you have this great idea, and now you go to your leadership trying to get approval of this idea, right? And the leadership shuts it down, and that really pulls you down, right? Now, basically, that's also stakeholder management. Like, you would often start saying that, hey, you know what, this company does not encourage great ideas, like I had such a brilliant idea, etc., etc. So at that time, for any stakeholder, in this case, let's say leadership, you really need to understand the perspective from where your leaders are coming from, right? And I will just blanket it. When you're talking to your customers, you really need to understand the perspective from where your customers are coming from. Are you having your customer, your partner, your leadership in mind before you are um, proposing what you wish to propose? Going back to your leadership example, what is it that your leadership wants? Like, does your leadership want business value? Does it want additional customer growth, or do they want revenue? Is your idea marrying to those business objectives? If so, then your leadership will listen. Exactly the same way, when you're talking to your partners, what is it that your partners want? First, answer that question. If your partners really are struggling to get, let's say, additional customers, right? Then are you, if, with your proposals, are you able to help them meet that need? What do your customers want? Do your customers want a productivity solution? Do they, is that solution helping them cut down at their bottom line? Is that solution helping them generate more revenue? Try to understand their need first before you start proposing your ideas. At times, it's like the classic pitch, right? Go sell me this pen. And we say, hey, you want to buy that pen? Doesn't work that way. First, you really need to understand what is the perspective of your customer before you even start selling something to them, right? Otherwise, we would become salesmen, and we are not. We are product managers. And by the way, even salesmen don't do that. Salesmen also try to understand what is the perspective of the other party or your stakeholder before you even start putting your needs in front of them. So the golden mantra for stakeholder management is understand the needs of the person on the other side of the table.
Right, Sandeep. Sandeep, coming to something even more interesting, describe a day, your day at work, and how things have changed since you have transitioned from product manager to principal product manager.
So, and this is where the Satya's matrix comes very handy, right? Depending on the maturity of the product or the product life cycle, you will be dealing with the four, right? That I just talked about: the customer, product, partner, or your team. Let's say I am in that stage where I have an idea, right? When I have an idea, you may not see me working with my team very much, right? Because I have an idea. Maybe I will be trying to reach out to my customers, my partners, doing some market research, spending time on that side of the product, maybe doing some competition analysis. Why? Because I have an idea. Let's say that idea gets approved, and now I have to get into the execution cycle. I will not be spending much time on competition, etc. I'll be spending time with my team to make sure they understand the value that we are trying to generate and actually ship it. Maybe I'm not working with the partners at that moment. Now, let's say the product is ready, and I want to make sure that the product gets adopted. That is the stage where I start working with my customers again. Maybe I start involving my partners as well, right? Because Microsoft operates in a way that for every dollar that we earn, I think so, I'm not remembering the right value, but we say that at least our partners are able to earn $8 or $20. Now, that is the moment when I start working with the partner. So you see, my quadrants remain the same, but the focus on each of these may differ depending upon the life cycle of the product. Your second part of the question was, how has my life changed from junior product manager all the way to principal product manager, right? So I think so the impact that you make, or the concentric circles of impact that you make, changes, right? So when I was an individual contributor, my impact was measured in terms of the quality of the feature that I've shipped, the value that I've generated for my customers and partners, etc. Now I have a team. Now, when I have a team, I am equally responsible for still the value that my products generate for my customers and partners. I'm equally responsible to make sure that my team succeeds. They find value in the company, and maybe the domain or the area of ownership has expanded quite a bit, right? Earlier I was owning a feature, maybe now I own a product or an area in a product. So that ways, your, as I said, the metric to judge the effectiveness of a product manager kind of remains the same, but your circle of impact increases as you grow up.
Right. Can you tell us something about prioritizing roadmaps? I understand that it is important. Can you throw some light on it?
So let me talk about prioritizing features and then I'll talk about prioritizing roadmaps. There are unbelievable number of matrices that are available in the market saying you can prioritize this way, that way, etc., etc. See, at the end of the day, and maybe I've beaten the horse to death about customer value, but I want to bring that again. You prioritize product roadmaps, features, anything depending upon two criteria: customer value and the business value. These two need to be married. I'll give you a small example, right? Let's say I have a very fancy feature which all my customers wish to use, but they would be happy to use it for free and they're not willing to pay for it, right? Would you prioritize that? Versus, let's say there is another feature where, let's say the value that the customers generate is not zero, but it's medium, and it meets your business objectives as well. Which one would you like to prioritize? There's a fine balance that you always play between customer value and business value. And the third constraint that you operate with is your own product constraints, right? Can you ship it? Is it something that is shippable within a sprint or 10 sprints, etc., etc.? So your prioritization matrix is very simple. Try to join these three. Whatever feature that you're delivering, does it have customer value? If the answer is no, that never makes it to the backlog. You cannot be shipping features or products or capabilities that do not have customer value. That's completely thrown out of the window. Whether it is generating business value, again, when I say business value, is it growth, revenue, or it could be just enter the market and we will see what we want to do about it, but it needs to marry to your business value as well. Otherwise you will end up being a rogue product within the company who may continue to operate for 6 months until the leadership comes and says, sorry, we are not needed, right? So you should be operating in that space as well. While you're balancing these two, you cannot be completely oblivious to the constraints in which you're operating. If you have a team of 5 engineers, you can't be signing up for features that will take you a year and a half to deliver, right? Because customer value and business value have a time component to it. So how do you balance whether you want to uh, ship, let's say, low hanging fruit kind of features that will give some customer value, and at that time maybe the business value is engagement of the customers. So keep it simple. Don't think too much into all these matrices that people have created around prioritization. And this prioritization appears for whatever features, product backlog, product envisioning, anything that you want to do, right? It has to marry these.
Uh, yeah. So Sandeep, coming to someone who is watching this video and wants to get into PM space, is it advisable they join a nascent startup?
It's amazing that you're asking me these questions because watch out, there will be a blog coming out on this. I've written it and I'm about to publish it by this Friday. Before we talk about nascent startups, right? I think so. There are three things that you can do even before that. Why? Because joining startups um, is not completely in your control. So first, I'll talk about things that are in your control, right? So number one, if you want to become a product manager, an effective product manager, number one, start thinking like, so far we think about products as a consumer, right? I am consuming it. I do Paytm scratch cards. I scratch, I get 2 rupees. Great. Stop doing that. Start thinking of them as a product maker. If you were the maker, how would you create that capability? Why did Paytm provide a scratch capability? They could have just done a tap, right? Why did they do scratch? On what basis will you give me 2 rupees versus 20 rupees? On what basis are you going to give me coupons? When are you going to offer me coupons? Will you offer me when I buy milk or when you offer me when I do bill payments? Like, think of it like as a product creator, how would you have created that small feature, right? That is step number one. That is completely in your control. You can do it right now, right? Even as a consumer, you need to think what hooks you onto that capability or feature. Why are you, when you are using Amazon search, when you start typing on the Amazon search bar, what is your expectation? Like, how come you type jeans and it started showing you jeans for men, jeans for women? How did that happen? Right? So start thinking that what is hooking you onto that particular product. Once you've done these two, right, the third stage that you can get into is you can start doing research of your own. By research of your own, I mean you're a student right now. So let's say in education sector, what's happening with the education sector in terms of technology? There are learning management solutions that companies like Byju's and so many other product companies are using, right? How are these guys using some of those capabilities? How can you consume and build capabilities and features in that space? So do research on those industries and see how is technology disrupting some of those industries. What is your point of view? What kind of products that you want to build? Again, all three things are in your control. Once you've done that, you started building a product manager's mindset. Now that you've done it, now start reaching out to whatever startups, big companies, etc., etc. As I said, any experience is a learning experience. So don't shy away from that. Just one piece of advice I'll give you is startups I'll just differentiate big companies with startups, both pros and cons, right? When you are with a startup, a very big pro is that you could be a jack of all trades, right? You could be dabbling your hands in sales, marketing, product, etc., etc. When you're in big companies, some of these things are already well set up for you. For example, sales, marketing, legal is already well set up. You are not the lawyer. In a startup, maybe you are. On the other hand, so this gives you time to focus on product management alone in a big company while you could be doing a lot of things in startup. On the reverse, what may happen is mostly startups are very focused. A fintech startup is a fintech startup. Like I just explained to you my experience, right? I was retail and energy and all of these things together. I could do it because I was in Microsoft. Had I been in a fintech startup, I would have been a fintech expert, a domain expert, right? So choose what you want. And therefore, you choose whether you want to get into a startup or one of these big companies, because I feel Microsoft, companies like Microsoft, Google are literally 20,000 startups built into one. And you can really choose which path you want to go to. Long answer, but I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very detailed answer. Sandeep, one last thing I would like to ask, your advice for aspiring PMs who are watching this video. You have seen it also, like most of it. So please, your advice.
My advice to you is be ready to unlearn everything that you have learned, because product management is a space where you will have to unlearn and learn every single day. My second advice to you would be um, remember your biases, right? Because we all bring our biases into our product. Uh, Remember what triggers you, what does not trigger you. My third advice to you would be that uh, you'd be so surprised that product managers or product management actually makes you better leaders. The reason it happens is because you need to be, as I just said, you need to be aware of your emotions, your biases. How do you react to certain situations? I'll give you a very small example. I have an idea. I feel excited about ideas. And therefore, I could reach out to 10 customers. Six of them support my idea and four of them don't. More often than not, what I've seen is inexperienced product managers will gravitate towards those six customers who are actually supporting you, right? And not towards those four customers. As a strong leader, you need to understand all up feedback, all up perspective, not just what you want to hear, right? Same applies to product management. You need to gravitate towards both the six who are favoring, four who are not favoring, maybe more towards four who are not favoring, to basically learn. The intent is to learn. The intent is to apply that growth mindset. My single biggest learning of product management is my ability to apply growth mindset to such situations. And for those who don't know what growth mindset is, read a book called Mindset by Carol S. Dweck. Um, that has transformed my life as an individual, as a product manager, and as a product leader.
That's a lot of value we discussed, and I am pretty sure that anyone who watches this gains a lot of perspective on this field, and immensely thankful because of this.
My pleasure. Anytime.